What is up, and welcome back to another episode in the garage working on the off-road Forester. Today we're actually be working on something in the back and something that I've been hiding for a long time from you guys just because I haven't had time to install it, but today is the day we're going ahead and installing it. You guys might, if you've been around with off-road Subarus for a long time, you might recognize these. These are Molle Racks for the back of the Subaru Forester, made by ADF. They're one of the brands that have been in off-road Subarus for a very, very, very long time, and definitely someone that I looked to when I was looking to build this car back in the day. But today we'll be installing Molle Racks for both sides of my Forester, and thankfully it's actually a pretty easy install if you're not too worried about putting, well, self-tappers in your car, because there's plastic trim in here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing it by just drilling right through the plastic and mounting these up. So it's going to be a pretty quick video today, but it's going to be one of the biggest things that I've been wanting to do on this car for a long time. I just haven't got around to it. So let's go ahead, take a look, and go install these. So as I said, this is going to be a pretty quick install today because, well, you've got 2, 4, 6, 7 screws that you got to screw in, and then you have your Molle Racks in your windows. So if you're unfamiliar with these actually mount right over your rear windows, and they just mount using the plastic trim as I mentioned before. So essentially what we got to do is we got to mount it up, measure essentially how far each piece of plastic trim is sitting in there, and then drill a couple holes and screw them in. I think I'm going to maybe drill some pilot holes. We'll maybe see how the first one goes and go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one mocked up and then figure out where I'm drilling my holes, and then we can go ahead and start mounting them up. And there we go, it's mocked up. The one interesting thing is you can actually go ahead and press it in. So it just presses into like the window sill. And then what I was using is I was using a clear ruler here to just go ahead and measure the distance between the window and the metal so that it all kind of lined up. And once it was pressed in and all measured up, it actually lined up pretty well. All the mounting feet are like in direct contact with the plastic. So theoretically now we can just go ahead and drill this in and we should be good to go. One thing that's interesting though is, as you guys know, I've painted this black trim here. Now pressing it in, I've scratched it a little bit, so I'm gonna have to just touch it up, but all the adventures we've gone on has already done a fair amount of damage, so I'm not too worried about scratching up a little bit because I can always touch it up. So let's go ahead and install the screws, and we've got one side already done. And just like that, we have the first one all ready to go, and look at how strong that is. They say maximum of 10 pounds. Yeah, that could probably take a little bit more, but for disclaimer purposes, I can understand 10 pounds. Just a little more detail on the install. What I did is I put this guy in first because this one has to be pretty much lined up with this little cap here for the cover. So then I did that, and then I went ahead and did one up on the top. This guy, the top is about 3.5 centimeters away from the window all the way, and then here it's 3.5, and I believe this is 2.5 as the car kind of comes in, especially on that rear window. And then other than that, it's pretty much just taking your drill and not stripping it. So I've actually just got it set to 7 on here, so I made sure not to strip these because once you got it in there and it's kind of screwed in, you don't need to really torque it down because it's only plastic. But yeah, there we go, we got one done. And while that is a little stressful, putting screws into the plastic trim that I painted like a year ago, I'm not too worried because these trim pieces are pretty easy to find off of pretty much any Forester of this era. And this Forester's been through a lot, so why not put it through a little bit more? But it only took me about, I'd say 5 minutes to do that side. So let's go ahead, get this other side in, and then let's go ahead and put some stuff on it because if I install it, I've got to use it. And there we go, we got number 1 and number 2 installed. I actually stripped one of the screws on the second install, so that just goes to show how thin and how fragile this plastic is. Do not wrench on it because you will strip the screws. I was using the same setting on the drill as I did on every other one. That one just decided to give way, maybe because it was speed or something else, but it worked. Thankfully, because I already did that one, I was able to take the measurements and just copy it over here, and then I drilled the first hole, and then I could just pretty much work my way around, making sure the measurements are the same on both sides, so at least they're symmetrical, even though they're probably not installed the perfect way. They look really, really cool. So let's go ahead now and put them to use. Put a couple things on them before we finish today's quick install. And well, I kind of want to mount up a wide range of stuff. Conveniently, most of this stuff you can actually get at Flat 4 Off-Road, but we're looking at some hoses, some air pressure tools, some survival stuff, some recovery ropes, and also I have some of the stuff from my seat covers, like these Smitty built things for the back Molle racks on my seats. I'm actually going to put some of them on my window because, well, why not? So let's go ahead and see where we can get going. And well, there we go. We have stuff mounted on the Molle rack on this side. So that's kind of like the recovery gear or stuff that I don't need all the time. Well, I think most of the stuff on these racks are going to be like that. But I'm trying to figure out the mounting. As you can see, it's kind of like using these bands here and whatever. And I feel like there's a better way to mount it. Some of it's with Velcro like this. And of course my winch cable. But I also went ahead and, as I said, I was going to use some Smitty built stuff for the Molle racks, and those mount up really good. Like, check that out. That's awesome. So we have like a nice little pocket for tools, and then another one for, I'm gonna put a deflator and stuff in there, or another piece of equipment. And then obviously the coil I actually just put back in its pocket because, well, it fits perfectly in there, so might as well keep it there. And with my tinted windows, you can actually even see what's there. You will be able to see a little bit in the day, but when you're in the dark, pretty much impossible unless you have some sort of backlit source, which is really cool. And well, there we go. In less than 10 minutes, we went ahead and installed both of the Molle racks from ADF on our Subaru Forester. But as you guys know, if you're looking for these or any other ADF products or anything else to support your off-road adventure, you know where to come, especially if you're in Canada. Here at Flat 4 Off-Road, mine and Austin's company, we specialize in crossovers and Subarus like this. Anyways, that is it for today's video. It was short and sweet installing these ADF Molle racks that I've been wanting to install for a very long time in my Forester. So next episode, we're going to be continuing to modify this Forester. I've got some stuff coming up that I want to do with regards to the front of the car this time. So if you have any guesses, put them down below. But that's going to be it. So as always, peace out and stay humble.